Okay, I have something I need to share today, and I'm going to try to make it through this. I tried to record this earlier today, and to be honest, I just cried through the whole thing and tried to get my wits about myself so I could come back on and just share what I saw. So, most of you, if you don't know me, I'm a dreamer. I see into hard things and good things, and that's just part of the gifting that God has given me. And bear with me as I get through this. So, my tears are not out of sadness, although I do feel a lot of grief, and that's collective grief. I think all of us are feeling collective grief right now as we're watching some things transpire, and our hearts are all connected to each other, and we feel one another. That's part of being in the kingdom, and what happens to one happens to another, and we lift each other up and we mourn with each other, and we can have sorrow and joy at the same time. It's a really odd thing when you can have sorrow and joy kind of commingling together, and that is what I physically feel today right now in this. So we understand and have been watching all of the things that are going on in North Carolina, and it was a shock to the system to a lot of people. And if you have been on the ground there, if you have been watching it, you can be connected to that and feeling the trauma of those things that are transpiring, the grief and the sadness of people who have lost things, lost loved ones, lost children, and whole towns just completely, taken down to their foundation. And there's a lot of multifaceted, multidimensional things in what I'm about to share, and I may have to do this in multiple parts because this one is the one I feel most responsible to release right now. The other ones I might have to write out a little bit. But I wanted to share specifically what I've seen the last 2 nights. And one, I'm grieving with those that are grieving. Most of us are. But also I am rejoicing for what I saw and what I was privileged enough to be able to share with you right now. Okay. Last night, I was taken over Chimney Rock, North Carolina, and I was looking down over the town. And I knew that I had been taken future into the timelines. The second part of the dream, I was taken backwards into the timeline. So remember, in the kingdom, we are not limited to linear time and space that we understand in this physical, earthly domain, this realm. And we can be shown forwards and backwards as all time is happening at the same time. I know that's really hard for our time, like our minds in this physical realm, but inside the kingdom, we are not confounded to that. So our consciousness transcends time and space. And the first part of the dream, so I'm standing and I'm looking down over Chimney Rock, and I knew it was a future time because the bulldozers had come in, other heavy equipment had come in and actually piled things up. They had gone back into where homes were, where businesses were. The rivers and the water had kind of eroded places, but they were building it back up. And there was one thing that was symbolic in that, as the foundations were laid bare, we were getting ready to birth something new. Those foundations will be rebuilt. So beauty from ashes symbology. And these huge piles of like brush and debris were piled up. And I knew that there was a burning that was coming for those piles. And in the fire was very symbolic of me. Sometimes when we are thrown in the fire, we can allow it to destroy us or to refine us. And so people are having a choice right now in those burn piles, the symbology around that. Are you letting it refine you or destroy you? And there will be many people that will come around those who have felt like they've been thrown in the fire from the debris, from the things that have been washed up, the things that have been unearthed. And you will get to choose how you're going to walk through that. And there will be people there for you to help you walk through that. Now, then what I saw, my vision opened up and I saw blueprints that were laid out. Like I was literally just like looking at a paper, and it was the blueprints for Chimney Rock, North Carolina. And I saw 2 timelines of this. And, we've been talking about 2 parallel timelines running for a while, where you've got like this great reset we got going on that's been planned for a long time. But then we also have the kingdom reset, and they've been like this. But we're getting ready to do this, where we're not going to run parallel anymore. You're choosing which way you're going. And the first one that I saw was the foundations had been laid bare, and the kingdom dwellers, transitioners, pioneers, explorers were coming in with the divine blueprints full of wisdom on how to rebuild and make it better than what was previously there, not in a negative way of like, well, that just wasn't good, that what was there. No, it was good. But something is going to be birthed out of the transition that's happened there, and the land would rebirth in that place. The second one that I saw in the blueprint was more of well, I'll just tell you what I saw. It was Cruella de Vil coming in as hell on wheels, and it was the Jezebel spirit being controlled by political and religious influence. And many people were in contract with that. So they were contracting, like contractors working with. And these contractors that were in these bulldozers were trying to decide, well, who am I going to work with? Am I going to work with the Kingdom Reset, or am I going to get into alignment with these political and religious factions that are contracted with this Jezebel spirit that would come in and control and manipulate and take power and influence people as they were coming back in and what was going to happen on that land? So that was the first part. After that, I was transitioned, and I'm not exactly sure where I was at this point. I knew I was still in that North Carolina area because I was taken back into the timeline at this moment. And I'm standing parallel with this raging water that's coming through. Just imagine all of the videos that we've all seen in the media and on social media of houses floating down, people in the water going down. And I kept asking, why am I here? Why am I viewing this? And all of a sudden, I began to see physical vessels float in the water. And my physical vessel reacted as it is now. If you are a dreamer or a seer, you understand when you see these things, it's not just like you're watching a movie. You're in it. You are physically feeling it. You're smelling it. You feel the atmosphere around you. You can feel the breeze. You feel the rushing water come by. You feel the emotions of what's going on. And at that moment, I was told, look up, because I'm looking kind of like down at the water at this point because I'm seeing things happen and go by. And when I looked up, I saw legions of the most beautiful, light, angelic Elohim beings. So many of them, just like everywhere that my eye looked, I saw that. And they were receiving the people who have lost their physical vessel lives. But what I need to share with you is the beautiful and the most wonderful, grace-filled moment. So many religious circles talk about, like a rapture or resurrection moment, and that will happen for everybody at the same time. But what I saw was individual rapture moments happening in a twinkling of an eye, and that these people were not being hurt, they were not being traumatized, because the second that they were swept away, I saw their spirit leave. And what it made me think of in the dream was in the book of Acts, where Stephen is being stoned, and he looks up and it says that the heavens were open to him and he saw Christ standing at the right hand, and he's speaking and he's saying, receive my spirit. And that's what I saw, was people saying, receive my spirit, and the angels were there to take them in a blink of the eye. I saw this one little boy. I know that there's some things out about a little boy, and I don't know if this is the same little boy. I was not shown in the dream that it was the same little boy. But I also know that this was not just for one individual. There were many parents that lost their children. And as a mom myself, my physical vessel grieves that for you. But I have to tell you that your children did not suffer. I saw them immediately pop out. And I saw this one little boy. He was hovering over the water as his physical body was floating down, but he was not in that body. And my vision opened up to see his. It was the most beautiful, miraculous glory. I don't even know how to explain what I saw, but he was stepping into what I would call like the new heavens and the new earth, the kingdom realm. And his light on his body was emanating with colors that we don't know in our worldly, like, things that I can't explain to you. The greens and the blues and the reds and the yellows and the purples and the pinks, like, they were beyond. There were so many different, like, hues of those things. And so, like, his aura, his body, his field, like, he had transfigured into that. And he started walking down this path. And the trees and the grass, the flowers began to bow. It was almost like an adoration of, like, hi, I greet you, I see you. And this bee and this bird started talking to him like I'm talking to you. So, like, the beings, they weren't just, like, telepathically communicating as conscious beings, but I saw these animals speaking to him. And he reached up and he grabbed, it was a grape off this vine, and he ate the grape, and it was crisp. I mean, this grape was massive, and I knew he was seeing into the new heaven and the new earth. And all of a sudden, my vision closed. And I see the boy again. And he's watching his physical vessel. And all of this is like, I'm speaking, and it's taking me a couple minutes to get this out, but it was just like this. This wasn't a long thing. It was just like this, where you can see something in 1,000 words, 1,000 sentences, 1,000 books were opened in one instant to see. And it was almost like the boy was trying to decide, am I going back to that physical vessel, or am I going there? And he just said, I'm going there. Like, he was so excited. He wasn't scared. He wasn't fearful. He was like, I'm going there. It was beautiful, beautiful. I knew he was having his resurrection moment into the new earth. I saw many children as he left, and he didn't go back in that physical vessel, but I saw him with this angelic being that was so fast, like when you talk about the speed of light, it was like they were gone. And then I was able to see again as he was back into that place where I had seen him walking on the path, and I saw so many people, some children and babies and people, adults that were with him, and they were just walking and running and playing. It was almost like this breath of fresh air. The scene transitions, and I'm in another one, and I'm watching people who were in vehicles, and I didn't just see their spirit leave. I saw their physical body translate, like Philip in the book of Acts, where it says that his body literally, like, translated to another place. And I know that there's a lot of people that are still missing. And in my dream, I had this knowing that some of them will not be found, because in that moment they were translated into another. And what we understand from the earthly side and what our physical eyes see when we're not married to the spiritual, the veil is very thin right now. And there is a lot transpiring on the earth. But I had a responsibility to share this because I know so many people are hurting. So many people are still in shock. They're mourning. They're grieving. So many people have lost children, moms, dads, family. I saw something the other day where there was like 11 family members of one family that all went together. We are going to have mass casualty events, and there will probably be more. I don't want to say probably. I'm just going to be honest with what I've seen. There will be more. But I felt I was to say, in those moments, a lot of people are having their rapture taken into Christ. They are having their resurrection moment, the things that we might see in the physical realm. I saw that their spirits were not experiencing their trauma that we think that maybe they had, or their fear, or they're scared that they weren't. And it was a gift to see it. But also know that my physical vessel mourns with you who have lost loved ones. They're not with you right now. We all mourn with you and we grieve with you. But I want you to know that they are good and happy and taken care of. And I hope that it will give you some peace to not focus on false stories that they experienced major trauma or scared, or no one was with them, or they were alone, because they weren't. They were not alone. In a blink of an eye is what I saw. Close my eyes, open them, and that's how fast it was. That God was with them. That angelic hosts were already sent in advance right there in that moment to receive them in that moment. So, I'm I'm just going to leave this one here, and I will do another one later. But I pray that every single person who needs to hear this will hear this, and that peace will reside in your heart, a peace that surpasses all understanding of our conscious physical reality in our mind, to know that the kingdom is with us all the time. It's as close as my hand is to my nose. The kingdom of light, the kingdom of heaven residing within and through all of us. We're having some big changes right now, the crumble to the rebirth as the transition of the age unfolds. But we will overlap again. Kingdom of heaven and the kingdom of earth will overlap again. It is already, but not all of our eyes can see all of the overlapping that's taking place. But I pray that any of you that are hurting, that are mourning, that are in shock and have trauma, that you will get through this. You will be blessed. You will know the truth of your loved ones. We will see them again. Remember, even when a physical vessel leaves this physical plane, we're not the physical vessel. We are the eternal soul. And the resiliency of that spirit is what is rising in all of us right now as we transition into this new age. Okay, I love you guys.